Have you ever felt like there's something wrong with you because you keep sabotaging your best progress? You tell yourself you want to do something, then next thing you know, you're not doing that. You're doing the total opposite. And you keep feeling like you're lying to yourself, like there's a part of your mind that's uncontrollable, like you're broken and there's no way to fix it. If you've been there, I know exactly how you're feeling. I've been there myself. I remember the nights when I would be high and drunk and tell myself tomorrow is the last day. I'm gonna just, tomorrow's gonna be the day I'm gonna stop drinking, I'm gonna stop smoking. Next morning I wake up and there I be again, drinking and smoking, convince myself to go have just one more hit and then it'd be all over again, right? I was in that part of my life for a good while, maybe probably over a couple years, and it felt really hard. It felt like I was broken. I didn't think there was any way out of it. I always just heard you just need willpower, but my willpower wasn't working. So what was wrong with me, right? I want you to know, first off, the thing that I've learned that's been very helpful is that there's nothing wrong with you, that you're working exactly how you're designed, or more specifically, there's a part of your mind that's working exactly how it's designed. And what's actually wrong is the programming that this part of your mind has received. And this part of your mind is running off this programming from other people, from other things that are without, from outside yourself, your external sources. These things have programmed this part of your mind for you to take certain actions, to do certain things, and partially you programmed your mind too. So we'll talk about that. This part of your mind is the subconscious part of your mind. This part of your mind is drawn to the familiar. This part of your mind is going to go after the things that are the most repeated within your environment, within your thoughts, within your beliefs. This part of your mind is drawn to the familiar. What is familiar for this part of the mind? Something that is considered safe. This part of your mind is going to chase those safe things, chase those familiar things, because its main goal is to keep you alive. Now, it's really important you understand that this part of your mind does not understand the difference between good and bad. So its idea of keeping you alive may be different than your idea, your conscious idea of keeping you alive, right? And just because you're alive does not mean you're happy, does not mean you're healthy, does not mean you are fit, does not mean any of those things, right? It just means you're living. So what I would argue is that we want more than just to survive. We want to thrive. And if we want to thrive, we need to be operating out of a place that's not within our subconscious mind. We need to be operating within our conscious mind and be taking a conscious control over our lives. And so that's what this looks like. What it looks like is you saying, I'm no longer a victim to my own thoughts. I'm no longer a victim to how I feel. I'm no longer a victim to these things. I'm taking control over them now by learning more about how my subconscious mind works, how it's influenced, and how to reprogram this part of the mind. If you want to learn more about this, I teach people this in my program, where I help them overcome depression and addictions and start to create better life for themselves. And the very core part of that program is learning about your mind. Learning about your mind will help you address these things in your life. There's no doubt about it, right? You can think of it like this. We're essentially playing a video game within our lives, right? And we don't know the controls. We don't know the controls of our mind. We don't know how our mind works. We're going through the game without access to all the controls, without access to all of our abilities, to all of our skills, and to our full strength. We're essentially playing handicapped. No wonder the game's so hard for so many of us, because we don't know how our mind works. We don't know how our mind functions. One of the most powerful parts of our minds is not being used actively by us. Sure, I mean, it's still operating, it's still functioning. But what I mean by not being used actively is that we're not programming our mind. We're not actively choosing how this part of our mind is going to be influenced. Instead, we're just going through life and letting things influence this part of our mind. And that's where the self-sabotage comes from. So that's where those feelings of feeling like you're stuck, like there's no way forward, because you're essentially fighting against one of the most powerful parts of your mind. So learning about this part of the mind is extremely important. Like I talked about at the beginning, if you want to reprogram this part of the mind, what you need to do is change what's in your environment and change the things that you hear and the things that you believe and the things that you think. And what you'll need to know also is that as you're working on doing this, you'll find that those old negative thinking patterns, those old negative thoughts will come back, right? That's how this part of the mind works. It's a habit. Essentially, you've built a habit of thinking negatively. You've built a habit of that negative habit, whatever it might be. And so to break the habit, you essentially need to create resistance in your mind. What you can think of it is like your mind has a pathway built from one brain neuron to another brain neuron. And that's what this pathway is. This pathway is from one brain neuron of, I don't know, whatever happens, to negative thinking. Oh, you're gonna put yourself in a risky situation. Let's go to negative thinking, so you don't go into that risky situation, so that you're better protected. And so you'll talk yourself out of even doing that situation, right? Which could have been an opportunity to make a bunch of money or be more successful or whatever it may be, right? But your mind talked you out of it because you had that program built into your mind. That's where the pathway comes in, and every time it's thought, every time it's used, it's reinforced. And why this is important is because nature will always go down the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance currently, if this is you in your life, is that negative thinking. But just like a river going, water going down a river, a stream, you can block it and make a blockade so the water stops. But likely the water is going to find a new path to go down. Your job is to make resistance in the current path and open up a new path for yourself. You do this by starting to address the negative thoughts that you have. Start to acknowledge them when they come up and choose something different. Say, thank you, mind, for bringing this thought up, because that's really where this thought comes up, is from your subconscious mind. So thank your mind and acknowledge that this part of your mind is trying to save you, and then acknowledge and say, this is what I'm choosing, mind. I'm going to choose to believe this instead. I'm going to choose to be healthy instead. I'm going to choose to love myself instead. And you start to change your thoughts. And notice how I didn't just decline the thought right away. I accepted it, I acknowledged it, and then I changed it. And that is a really powerful thing to do. And as you start to do this, you can start to reprogram your mind step by step by step. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progression. It's about one step forward every single day. As you continue to do this, just like breaking a bad habit, you're gonna start changing that path of least resistance from whatever happens to negative thinking to whatever happens to positive thinking, as you start to build resistance in the areas of that. So you can do it with your thoughts, but you can also do it with negative messages coming through, maybe through social media or from the TV shows you will listen to, or the movies or the songs, right? All those things have an effect on you. The people around you. Start being aware of how those things are affecting you as well, and start cutting out the negative things, the things that are programming you towards something you don't want to be living in, and start replacing them with things that will replace your mind. Example, on my whiteboard behind me, I have I am enough. This is a way to reprogram your mind. I have this up on my whiteboard every single time. So every time you watch my video, you get a little bit of programming saying I'm enough, and that goes into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind takes it. Now, this may not be the most dominant path for you, but what I'm doing is building a little bit of a connection in your mind. So hopefully in the future, that might be easier for you to believe that you are enough, right? And that's the idea. I have this all over my house. I have Eat, Move, and Be Healthy right here, right? That I didn't put this book here by mistake. I put it here so you guys can see the words Eat, Move, and Be Healthy and be programmed positively from that. All around my room, I have different affirmation word arts where I have different things that say positive phrases to program my mind, right? This is the idea behind it. If you want to learn how this part of your mind works, if you want to learn how to use the techniques and the tools, and you want to work with other people who are doing the exact same thing, don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is what I specialize in doing. This is what I've helped myself do, and this is what I help other men do as well, other gamers do as well. And if this is something you're looking for, you want assistance in it, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We just hop on a call and talk about where you're needing help and how I can assist you. Thank you for listening. Let me know what your guys' thoughts of this are, and shoot me a like and give me a follow, please.